When you are firm in your decision, when you understand what you're doing and where you're going, you don't need anyone's approval. When I peeled myself out of debt, and the way I did it, and all of that stuff, which was unconventional in some ways, but I did it. I didn't need anyone's permission. I didn't look for anyone's approval. When you are looking for people's approval to take a financial action, you are not yet secure in your own skin that you can make the right decision. Happy Thursday night, family. I know it's kind of a late upload, but we're going to make it work. All right. So I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's get straight to it. We're going to listen to a Dave Ramsey. Actually, this is a letter write-in. So instead of a person calling in, they wrote in a letter. And the title is My Fiance Borrowed $240,000 for an RV. $240,000 borrowed. Okay, by her fiance. So we're going to find out just what's going on. I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's hit it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
How about a question from the Ramsey Network app, Jade? You up for one of those?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. This is from Ann. She writes, I'm engaged and my fiance just bought an RV. You ready for this? Hard swallow. $240,000. But he's not sure how he's going to pay for operating it.
Yikes.
I can tell you right now, okay, there is no way you would still be my fiance. If you're having to borrow just basically $250,000 for a RV and we are engaged, I think that would be the end of the relationship. Unless there are financial situations that I am wholly unaware of that is completely in both of our favor.
What? I'm concerned that he may take a loan out.
Oh my goodness. All right. Concerned well, it is titled he borrowed. Here's the thing. If he had the money because she knew he was financially sound, there would be no reason for her to have to call into the show. Money is all relative, right? It's all relative to, how much we actually make. It's relative to how we value the finances. Do you value money for the image and appearance? Do you value it for what it can, give you, say, down the road in retirement, save or spender? So there are a lot of factors involved. But in this particular case, I'm willing to bet that because she calls into the show to talk about this ridiculous $250,000, just shy. We're going to call it a $250,000, family, because you got to remember the interest. So figure she's calling into the show for this $250,000 purchase. They bought a house on wheels. They can't afford it. And there's something else to also consider. Yes, we know that this is obviously a red flag and it may be a blessing in disguise, okay? But something that she needs to really think about, and that is, there are people who once they know they're engaged to someone, feel like all of a sudden, perhaps the fiscal rules or anything else, there's a myriad of reasons, but here we're talking about money. So there are people who think, I am sure, because this letter writer is proving it. There are people who think that, oh, great, I'm engaged. I don't need to watch my money anymore. Or, oh, great, I'm engaged. I don't need to worry about, you name whatever it is that they were doing. It could be anything from attending to your health. All right. You decided to pick up a bad habit again because, you think that you have somebody else coming into the picture and they're going to, you have a buffer. Okay, which is going to be your new partner, that buffer you did not have before. But just because you are engaged to someone does not all of a sudden, in my opinion, give allowance that, hey, guess what? I don't have to take care of myself physically, financially, or anything else now that I have someone else to lean on. So while we understand that this is clearly a red flag in the relationship, what's really important to understand is why is it a red flag? And to me, it's a red flag because it is clearly showing that he realizes, hey, he's engaged. And it sounds like the financial rules don't apply anymore. And that's not to say that they ever applied. And that's something maybe, as this letter writer goes on, maybe we'll find out, was he like this before the engagement? Or did he fake, Yes, FAKE. Did he fake being financially sound? I'm just gonna fake it till I make it, and the I make it is when I find someone that I can be in a relationship with. I go, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to worry about being responsible financially again, because now I'm gonna marry this person, aka the sucker, who's now gonna take care of all my bills. Hey, I'm just telling you, folks, we deep dive in this channel. Okay, deep dive.
So he'll not only have a monthly payment, but also all the expenses and upkeep that go along with owning an RV. My question is, how do I proceed?
Well, I'll tell you how you proceed. You take an honest look at your finances. You take an honest look at the spending habits he had before you got engaged. You take an honest look at the spending habits he has now that you are engaged, and you ask yourself, do I want to stay like this for the rest of my life? At the end of this video, I will link a video that I did a few months back, and it's about a woman who has $1 million. Yes, she's worth $1 million, and the guy that she is engaged to is financially broke. And she calls into the Dave Ramsey show, and she's very concerned about this. This kind of reminds me of that type of show. Okay, now I don't know if this is Anne. It doesn't say where she's from, because this is a write-in letter. But Anne, whether Anne is rich or poor, what Anne needs to look at is, what was this guy like when I first met him? And is he carrying on a behavior that is just simply true to his character? Let me hit the play button.
Because we plan to get married next year and we disagree on money issues.
That's the end of the relationship. That's the end. Can I get a round of applause?
Yikes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big red flag.
Dude went and bought an RV.
I don't think I realized that RVs were this expensive.
Oh, man.
Oh, I've known RVs were that expensive. I don't know why, but yeah, I've known it. I think, however, when I think of a $250,000 RV, I usually think of that, for like, company type vehicles, or, wealthy retirees who just want to go, coast to coast, travel and see the grandkids or whatever. Okay. Rich celebrities. I don't think of it for broke ass people.
Man. Yeah.
That's a house.
Oh, yeah.
On wheels, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but doesn't go up in value.
Right. Dropping like a rock. Yeah. Dropping like a rock. Okay. You should be concerned.
Concerned, you should be worried and running in the other direction. This is not, we are past concern. My condo behind me, $100,000 in 2020 when I purchased it. It is 2.5 times the price, darn near, of my condo. And the interest, family, you gotta think of the interest.
Fact that she's concerned that he's going to take a loan out makes sense. He took a loan out for the RV. So yeah, he'll probably take a loan out for the upkeep. The biggest issue is they don't agree on the money issues. Ken, I don't know about you. I believe that money, it's one of those big overarching themes you've got to be aligned on. It's money, politics, religion, and how you see raising your kids and family, that kind of thing.
I agree.
And so
I agree.
This is a big one.
This is not something that she's going to be able to change him. If this is his character and who he is, I can tell you, if I reflect on my prior relationships, okay, I can tell you that in my 20s and 30s, I was with people who clearly did not see money the same way I did. Now, this is not to say that I was any better at budgeting money, okay, but a lot of my money issues, if you followed this channel a while, a lot of my money issues were driven by mental health problems. And as the mental health improved, clearly so did my financial picture. But there are people, mental health issues aside, it's not a mental health problem. It's just how they view life. It's just how they view living, how they view, we're here to spend it now. We may not be around, right? I'd rather die in the black than in the red. Okay, so I'd rather die with a balance in my account than scraping by and sleeping in Walmart parking lots because I thought I wasn't going to make it to 75, and then here I am. Okay, I'm not 75, I'm 57, all right now. But if you really think about it, you cannot change someone financially from whatever their grounded values, ideology, beliefs are about money. So this is supposed to be an engaged couple who is supposed to be married. If you are writing into a radio show because you are that worried, wait until you have a family with this guy. And if you think things are bad before you get married, I can pretty much assure that getting married is not going to solve anything. But looking back on my financial past, yeah, the signs were all there that I was with people who really didn't see money the same way I did. Even as I pulled myself out of my mental health issues, I sometimes think that the way you view money, the core of you, like that deep inner part of you, okay, that is eventually going to shine and sparkle. Will it shine and sparkle in a good way? Not always. But I really believe that once, if you look at, in my case with mental health, and you peeled away all the onion layers through 2 bankruptcies, through auto repossessions, through, all sorts of the financial issues that I had, I was always a saver at the core of me. I was always wanting to be fiscally responsible, the core of me. It's just that core could not come out until the emotional issues were solved. I hope that makes sense. Because we can look at somebody and we can say, oh, this person's just horrible at money. That's who they are. But you have to question, is that really who they are? Or is that who they are because of their circumstance? It's who they are because of issues that have not been resolved in their personal life. And when those issues are resolved, then you're going to get a true idea as to who the person really is. And there are people, folks, that they don't have mental health issues. They don't have anything that would explain why they spend money the way they do. It's just simply who they are. That is their core. And at my core, I always wanted financial freedom. I always wanted to be in charge of my debt. I didn't want things, to go the way of bankruptcy. This guy here, okay, is supposed to be her fiance. And I can tell you that him going out and buying $250,000, it's more than just about the money. It's much deeper than the money. It's saying something about what he thinks of her, what he thinks of them as a couple. And that is what she needs to pay attention to. The buying of the RV, that's what is it they say? That's just the symptom. That's not the cause. There's something much deeper. And I'm not sure if she is, at this point, just his fiance. And I don't say just lightly, but it is her fiance. How much time, depth, breadth, energy does she want to spend to try to figure out, is this who he is, or is there some deeper issue that is uncovered? And while you may love someone, and I've said it on this show more than once, you may not always, and you have the right to say, I don't want to stick around to find out what the problem is. It's going to depend on a lot of factors. My initial instinct, based on my 57 years of experience and what I'm seeing here, I wouldn't stick around to figure out what the problem is. But as we know, that's always easier said than done.
The best way, I think, to call this out is just to sit them down and say, listen, here's what we've said our plans are together. We obviously plan to get married. I've started noticing that you and I have different views on how we view money and how we view debt. Can you tell me a little bit more of how you see that playing out in the future? And maybe just kind of set them up with some questions. Hey, in the future, when we want a car, what do you think we would do? Would we try to save up and pay cash, or do you think we would take out a loan? And just kind of ask him, learn more about what he would say.
Here's the problem that I see with this, and why I don't think they should get married. It's not that these aren't great discussions to have. How do you see money? But it seems to me that this discussion should be had before you get engaged. If you are having to have these discussions after the engagement and you're taking on what I like to call the parenting role, you've got a problem before the formal ring is even on the finger. This discussion that the lovely Jade is talking about is all fine and well, but to me, it belongs much earlier in the relationship. It belongs before you're engaged. And we've heard it many times on the Ramsey show. There's this big divide, this big disconnect between people, but they only discuss it after they're engaged, or worse yet, after they get married. Then, you hear Mr. Ramsey saying, you hear Dave saying, okay, well, now's a good idea. Now's a good time to just sit and discuss how you're going to get out of this debt. If you were on the same page financially, there's no competition per se on how to get out of the debt. There's no competition in the fact that you respect each other enough. You're not going to take on a debt that would or could financially harm the relationship. I have this thing, it's called do no financial harm to your partner. And the bar of whatever that harm level begins at, that's dependent on each couple based on one's income. To some couples, it might be where $100, okay, we don't buy anything above $100 without letting each other know. And that doesn't mean we go out every day and spend $100. It means, say in the course of a 30-day period, any purchase that we want to buy that's more than $100, out of courtesy, we're going to clear it with our spouse. To other people, it might be something as low as $50. To some other couple, it might be $500. It all depends upon your individual household budget. But it seems to me that they've gotten engaged, and we've seen this a lot on this show, through all the different calls. They got engaged before this money discussion happened. Because I can tell you this, if you want to kill romance in my relationship, make me feel like I'm your parent, having to discuss budgeting with you. That to me is really unattractive. Not discussing budgeting. That's not what I'm talking about. Hey, we're going to sit down and what are our goals and dreams and aspirations for this year? Do we want to spend money on stuff for each other? Would we rather spend it on a memorable trip? Whatever. What I'm talking about that's unattractive to me is you are now a couple. One person decides to go out and spend money for whatever reason. I don't care what the cause is, but they're going out and they're spending a whole lot of money that is now crashing the family budget. And now the other couple has to come in and acting like a parent. Well, we said we weren't going to spend more than $100, so I'm going to take away your credit card and you can have your credit card back, if you can go for 90 days and not be late on a house bill or whatever. That becomes very unattractive because you are no longer married to a partner in your financial corner that's working with you. You are clearly married to someone against you. And it is my experience and my observation that most of our financial problems, they are caused by us. They are caused by the decisions that we make, the red flags that we choose to ignore. And then we sit there, a year later, 5 years later, 30 years later, I don't care what the time period it is, and we go, well, I just can't believe we're sitting in this financial situation like we are. But it was started all by a decision. And it could be as simple as, should I marry this guy who just pumped $250,000 to an RV? Me personally, I would dump him. I would hand him back the keys to the RV, tell him to rip up my phone number and call it done, because I see a guy like this being a huge financial burden in the future. And he is going to expect her to work to pay it off so he can have his RV fun. And keep in mind, family, when you are talking something like an RV, it goes beyond just the RV upkeep, because we like to think it's the insurance, it's the RV upkeep. Well, what the bejesus are you going to do in the RV? Where are you going to? Are you planning on traveling? Do you have money to do all that eating out, all that extra travel? You see, this goes beyond just the RV. It's what are you planning it for? Oh, well, we're going to travel all across the country, coast to coast. Okay, you have the money to go eat out at all these places, coast to coast. It's just things to think about. It's like, when you buy something, what is the purpose that you're using to buy it for? Am I buying something so it can help save me money? Or am I buying something so I can spend even more money? And it sounds like this type of guy, he bought the RV so he can spend even more money. Hope that all makes sense. Yeah, this relationship, nah, this would not be for me. Absolutely not for me.
And then once you've heard his response, then you come back and say, okay, well, here's my viewpoint. I think that if we were going to buy cars, I'd like to pay cash, and here's why. And then lay out your side and say, I just want to have a clear conversation and see, is there a way that we can get on the same page with this, because this feels like it could cause problems down the line, and I don't want that for us.
No, let's be much more blunt. It doesn't feel like it's going to cause a problem. It is going to cause a problem. It is going to be what keeps us from having a family that can, take the kids if we choose to have kids. Not everybody does. I don't have kids, okay? But if you choose, okay, is this going to keep us from being able to afford things and the experiences that we want to have for our children? Is this going to keep us from having a retirement? Nothing like those 50-year-olds that call in, folks, and they say, I have nothing for retirement. And it happens more than we can possibly imagine. No, we need to call it out just as it is. Because that's another thing that keeps us in financial trouble. We're trying to sugarcoat everything. We don't want to be too harsh. Well, it seems to me that this $250,000 might cause a problem. No, it's not a might cause a problem. It will cause a problem, and it will be the financial downfall of the relationship. Yeah. We just, something I've learned to get out of debt. People, you got to just call it what it is. Okay, this whole conversation should have been done long before they got engaged, because then they would know. And if the conversation had been done before they had gotten engaged, and this is what she was going on, and then she sees this action, she doesn't even have to sit down like a mother and question him. She now knows he was faking the whole thing. Okay, and trust me, I'm sure there are people who can fake it. I'm sure there are people who can fake relationships long enough if they think in the end, that they can, screw somebody over. And this is the type of guy, and I don't know how long they've been fiancéing and all of that stuff, but, maybe he was just putting on a front, acting like he was all financially responsible.
And you just have to have a hard conversation.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I'd probably ratchet up the technique here.
Tell me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the he needs a text.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna tell you.
You're gonna text him the questions?
No, I'm gonna text him and say we need to talk.
Okay, now that strikes fear. If you didn't have bubbles in your tummy when you receive that text, you will have.
You need bubbles. We need bubbles.
One thing that I that's kind of funny, because one thing that I have a commitment with in my relationship is we don't send each other a text like that. That is a you're not going to be able to rest until I finish the rest of the sentence. Hi, I need to talk to you as soon as you get off work today. And I'm the type, okay, this is just me, okay, and my experiences. Nothing will tick me off probably more. Well, I mean, there are things that tick me off, okay, whatnot, but that sort of thing really ticks me off. And I'm the type that I will say, well, you need to give me a clue as to what it is. And if you refuse to give me a clue, we can call this relationship done. See, that kills the, I need to talk to you at 6 p.m. tonight, right? Just simply say, okay, but I would like a clue as to what the conversation is. Well, I can't tell you. Well, then I guess this relationship is done, because that's what it must be about. Now, maybe it's for something really good, then a text back of, oh, I can't tell you what it is, but don't worry, it's nothing bad. I will respect that. I'll go, okay, I'm good. But you text me something like, hey, we need to talk later. I need to have a discussion with you. No, I am not going down that road. I will end it, and you can keep that half of the conversation to yourself. Look, I'm not trying to be mean, okay? Not trying to be mean. But I will not do that to someone. I will never send someone a text like that. The only time you would send somebody a text like that is the relationship's already over and you just don't give a rip, okay, about what they think. Hey, it's just my style.
This is a bubbles. This is a bubbles level conversation.
Oh man! So you want to create uncomfortability going in?
He needs to know how serious it is.
Okay.
Like I said, I'd be done with the relationship. And the other thing, as our longtime viewer Parlor would say, you have got to pull his credit report. At this point, Yeah, they need to have their credit reports pulled, and we need to see everything on that report, because a guy who can do this for $250,000, he can do anything financially.
This is not a manipulative power play. It is a, we need to talk. It's time to define the relationship.
No, it's a manipulative power play. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because she says in this question, I am really concerned that we don't see eye to eye. And I think I agree with everything you said. I just would put some seriousness on it. This is not a threat.
Serious sauce.
This is not manipulation. I'm just saying it needs to be, I don't know that we should be talking about getting married. Or no, I don't know. We shouldn't be talking about getting married.
If we can't get this
We've got to press pause on this, because this will break us down the road.
But to me, I think the problem is the trust is already broken. The purchase is already made. So even if I say, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll continue trusting you guys, you got a freaking $250,000 debt to peel yourself out of. I mean, put in the comments, family, would you stick around with your fiance if they ran up $250,000, okay, for an RV, not to surprise you with a house that you could afford. This is a house. Okay, would you stick around with someone who ran up $250,000 debt on something as useless as an RV? To me, RVs rank right up there with swimming pools. I never want to own a place that has a swimming pool. I'll go to someone's place that has a pool, okay? But I will never own a swimming pool. They are just things waiting to be, financial disasters. Oh, and by the way, if you live in Hurricane Alley, Tornado Alley, or whatever, okay, I can speak for hurricanes because I'm here in Tampa, Florida. Do not ever empty out your pool before a hurricane, because people will do this. They will empty out the pool thinking that makes the pool safer. And here is what I learned living 20 years here in Tampa. When you empty out your pool, what you're doing is you're basically giving the high winds, permission to lift up all those bricks and cement everything and destroy it. You're better off leaving the water in the pool and let the water hold down the pool. I never knew this until I moved here, because I was always like, you should, haul everything out. But I know people who have pool repairs that they can't afford to repair them. Yes, I know people in this situation. And what was the pool repair? I say it was probably around $20,000. This was a few years back. Okay. And I remember them telling me the pool's going to be $20,000 to repair. So yeah, I don't want a pool ever. I don't want to own one. I don't want to own an RV ever. So yeah, but leave in the comments. Would you stick around with someone who owes $250,000? Would you go, okay, well, we can have a discussion and maybe it'll be all good. Even if it's all good, guess what? You're now on the hook for $250,000. See, when you are firm in your decision, when you understand what you're doing and where you're going, you don't need anyone's approval. When I peeled myself out of debt, and the way I did it, and all of that stuff, which was unconventional in some ways, but I did it. I didn't need anyone's permission. I didn't look for anyone's approval. When you are looking for people's approval to take a financial action, you are not yet secure in your own skin that you can make the right decision.
No, she doesn't. But my point is, if he has love goggles on, if she makes it feel like an ultimatum, then he might change some of his answers in order to get what he wants.
That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, he can try to fake it. Oh, I promise I'll never do this again.
I'm not saying like maliciously or like in a diabolical way. I'm just saying that
you think
sometimes
he feels the pressure.
Yes, because the truth is, you are your best self when you're in your dating phase. You're your best, like you're on your best behavior. And so he could be like, oh, yeah, honey, we don't have to do that, da-da-da-da-da.
So you think my approach, help me, how is my approach not, how does she then
Because I think if she makes it, I think if she just makes it a conversation and we're talking, she's more likely to get the real answer. But if she puts the stress of, we need to talk, we need to define this relationship, then he could feel the need to be like, well, okay, yeah, no debt, that's fine. But that may not be really where his heart is.
But to me, there's really no question on it anymore. Now, again, this may just be my 57 years. I already have the answer. Sometimes the actions that we take already give us the answer. I've been doing a lot of videos lately, on the PPP fraud loans. Don't worry, family. Another one's coming up this weekend. Okay. But, and someone can go, well, you did all this PPP stuff. Are you still going to stick around with me? Well, I've already got the answer. You're willing to defraud the federal government of $1 million. What do we need to stick around and talk about? There are some actions that can be extreme enough, and maybe not that extreme, okay, with the PPP stuff, but there are some actions that someone takes that I really don't need to sit and have a discussion with you. I'm not saying I won't have a discussion with you, okay, but unfortunately there are some discussions that you present to me, $250,000 debt. I'm like, okay, I forgive you, all right, on doing it, but I don't want to be around to pay it off. In other words, do I want to spend my years and what time I have in a day? Okay, do I want to spend that paying off on your bad decisions? And that's only something that each person in the relationship can decide. There are people, I'm willing to toil for. I'll give the clothes off my back, but it's got to be someone that's just, out of this world. And I only know one person like that. Okay? That's not an immediate family member. Okay? But even then, I never have to worry about being put in this position because this person would never do that to me. In other words, the right person for you would never make you address this a situation. So the fact that this situation is having to be addressed, the fact that she's having to call into a show because she's unsure as to what to do, tells you this relationship is over.
That
I know. Okay, so let's say I go with your approach. I'm not there yet.
Okay. Fair enough.
Let's say she has that conversation and then there's no real outcome.
Then I think she can ratchet it up. I think I would
see.
start
So you're okay
a
with
little
my
more
So you
casual.
like my plan, you just aren't ready to push that button yet.
Yeah, we're on like level 2 and you were coming in hot on like medium high.
But I wouldn't trust anything he did at this point. Anything he said to me, unfortunately, I just would not trust. This is too much debt. We're not even talking, honey, I bought an $18,000 car. Oh, hell, I'll be more generous. Honey, I bought a $40,000 vehicle. We're not even talking that. We're talking $250,000. It's just something to think about. All right, folks. Half-hour markers here. Not that I keep my videos at a half hour. It's just, I don't know, it's about the time frame that I like. Once I think we get the gist of the video, I call it good. Okay, the kitty ears and I, it's Thursday evening. What time is it? It's running, oh my goodness, it's 10 o'clock. This will be kind of a late upload, but I'm so glad you were here with me. I hope you will consider subscribing. Family, my time is up, and so is yours. Good night, everyone.